Hello everybody and welcome back to Pchrisbosh Props. We are finally done with the Replica Proton Pack shell. As you can see here, this is how she sits. And I wanted to do just a final video. Well, not exactly the final video. I still got to mold it and I kind of want to do like a how to mold. But when it comes to actually building this shell, this is the final video. And I just wanted to do a rundown of some of the details that are on this. What makes this shell different and separates it from the other Replica Proton Pack shells. Not that I'm trying to put anybody out of business, but this shell is very unique, kind of one of a kind. And I just wanted to share with you guys some of the things, the ups, the downs that I've had. It's been a journey. As you know, it's probably taken me, I want to say, at least 6 months to complete this from when I started. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know it's taken me a lot longer than my original shell. I think my original shell was like 2 months. You know, that was like every day out there, bing, bang, boom, getting it done. But this was a different project. So we'll get into it. We'll get me out of the camera, and I'm just going to kind of do a rundown with you guys and share some of the details, narrate, however, whatever you want to call it. So thank you for tuning in, and let's get to it. So here we go, guys. This is the shell in its complete and finished state. I have to say a lot of work has gone into this shell, countless hours, lots of mistakes, lots of ups, lots of downs, lots of vain ideas that just didn't work out. But with persistence and perseverance, it came out exactly how I intended it. Just never give up. When you start a project and you think you're just completely failing, don't give up. Keep going. Keep going through the trial and error, and you will succeed. So you have to understand, when I started this project, I was using screen use plans. And as great as screen use plans are, they give you a lot of leeway when it comes to adjusting certain things, not really having to be exact on certain areas. It gives you a little bit more free play. But as the project went on, I was able to have access to an actual replica hero shell. And that changed the whole dynamic of the build, because I was trying to replicate that particular shell one for one. And when you're trying to do that, it changes. You would think it would be easier, but it's not, especially because the hero shells are so wonky, they're so ugly, they have so much warping. I mean, they're really ugly. As great as they are, you know, let's just be frank and honest, they are ugly shells. But that's what gives it its charm, is that ugliness. And I really wanted to try to capture, I didn't want to go too idealized, even though some of the shell is idealized, because a lot of the ugliness on the hero shells is just, it was fast, quick production laziness. You know, that's a harsh word. I don't want to say laziness. I would just want to say it was rushed. And some of those areas I just didn't want to replicate. But for the most part, I really tried to get everything I could. And I am well satisfied with it. I mean, this is built to the spec and measurements of the screen use hero shell. As you've seen in my previous videos, it fits right on the outline of the hero shell. Now, one of my biggest struggles has been replicating the texture on the hero shell. The hero shell texture, it's different. It's not as orange peel as you would think. It's very subtle. It's orange peel, but it's very, very subtle. Like the Homax wall texture, this stuff. The Homax wall texture, this stuff, as great as it is, as great as it was, it's too much. It doesn't, it's too, I I don't know, how do you say it? It's not subtle. It gives the effect, but it's not as subtle as the Hero Shell texture. The Hero Shell texture is very smooth. It's not rough. It's not rocky. It's very smooth. I don't know exactly how they did it, but I've tried multiple techniques. I've tested just about anything I could possibly think of. My last resort, which I thought was really gonna do the trick, was this Protex stuff. And as much as it worked out on a small test piece, it just didn't work out on a large scale. And reason being is, in Texas, it's hot. So when I'm spraying this stuff on, a lot of it's drying and it's blowing a lot of dust everywhere. And it just was too much dust, and it was gonna be an absolute mess to try to clean up and get right. So I scrapped it. And I pretty much ran out of ideas at that point, but then it hit me. I remember, and this has nothing to do with Ghostbusters, but the guy who painted and did the Michael Myers mask in the original Halloween movie, I don't know his name to be exact, but he was just talking about how non-elaborate spray painting that mask was. Like, everybody tries to find like the craziest technique to spray that mask, and he's like, all I used was some Krylon white appliance paint or something like that. And I'm like, just how basic and how simple it was. So it hit me. I saw this at Walmart and I thought, I wonder if that would work. I mean, I got nothing to lose at this point. I don't want to use the wall texture. It doesn't really look completely right. I've tried various other textures. I tried Harbor Freight truck bed. I mean, I tried everything. So I tried this stuff, and it turned out really, really good. It didn't cure fast, which, you know, prevented a lot of the dust from blowing everywhere. And it just was amazing. It was like exactly what I needed. It was perfect. And so I did a coat of that on the various parts of the shell there. And you have a lot of like control over it is what I like. Like, if you're farther away, it's a finer texture. If you get close, it kind of gives more that subtle, larger orange peel texture. So it gives you a lot of control. I loved it. It was perfect. I had nothing to lose at that point, so I didn't care, and it worked out. And after I did a coat of that on the areas, as you can see here on the sink gen, there's not really a whole lot of texture. I was really, really scientific trying to get all the right areas that are actually textured on the Hero Shell versus the areas that are not. But as you can see, that texture is amazing. And it's very subtle. Like, you could feel it, and it feels just like the Hero Shells. So once I did that, I actually brush painted the whole entire shell to give it that ugly brush look, just like the Hero Shells did or had. One thing that's a lot different on the Hero Shell is these ribs are kind of divoted. They're kind of divoted in. It's probably hard to see. And that's just probably because they used wood ribs. So I tried to capture a lot of that. Try to get that ugliness on the power cell there. These are just some striations right here that are on the Hero Shell. I'll run through some of those. There's one here underneath. I don't know if my camera's focusing enough, but it runs right underneath there. There's this dent right here that is present also. And this ugly thing, I think when I sell shells, I'll also include the block in case someone wants to replicate the Spangler Legacy Pack or the Sony Lobby Hero, whatever they call it these days. But I'll probably include that spacer block. On the Minnesota Vankman Pack, that block is not present. So since I'm trying to replicate that shell, I'm just leaving it off there. This window is to spec. Yeah, this window is not the Spangler Legacy or the Sony Lobby Hero. This window I replicated from the Bankman pack, in case you're wondering. There's those brush marks. There's that texture. It came out really good. This was really important to me, was getting the shadowing and the curves right, like on the gun mount and stuff. Like this edge is sharper. This edge down here is really, really rounded on the Hero shell. On my last, my original build, I didn't get these corners as good as I should have, so I spent a lot of time trying to get the sculpting right on those. There's really not a whole lot of texture on this front area on the Hero shells. There's these kind of I don't know, tapers on the gun mount ribs that I added also. There's really almost no texture on the power cell ribs, but there's like scratches and brush marks, and you can see I tried to replicate that and get the nail marks and get the funny taper that goes out on these ribs towards the end, towards the motherboard. I tried to replicate that. Of course, the striations there above the power cell. Here's that seam line that I did on the cyclotron, and as you can see, once you texture it and brush paint it, it looks perfect. Even those seam lines on the sync gen, look how good that looks. These divots in the clipboard spacer are also present on the Hero shell. This little drill chuck mark also is present. So yeah, guys, that's it. What's up next is molding. I just wanted to show you the brush marks there on the sync gen. Alright guys, that's it. Once this thing's molded and ready to go, I'll probably do like a video just kind of directing those who are interested to GB fans, and we can get a real solid interest list going. I don't plan on making a whole lot of these. It'll probably be pretty limited, but just keep an eye out. I will do probably a couple runs. So thank you guys for going along on this journey with me. I'm sorry it's been so long. I really wanted to get it right. This was a huge challenge. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Matthew Burkett. Without him, this project could not have been possible. He's been such a huge, tremendous help for me. So thank you, Matt, if you're watching. Alright guys, so we're on to the next video, which will be how to mold this thing. But as it is now, this shell is finished. And I will just do a quick, non-narrated video, just kind of going around it.
song.